Waiting for the sounds of the stirring household to release her from the embrace of her perma-rest mattress, Miss Dutta repeats the 108 holy names of God. Om Keshvaya Nama, Om Nanaranyaya Nama, Om Madhava Nama. But underneath, she is thinking of the bleached blue aerogram from Miss Basu that has been waiting unanswered on her bedside table all week, filled with news from home. Someone robbed the Sanjay jewelry store. The bandits have guns, but luckily no one was hurt. Mr. Joshi's daughter, that sweet-faced child, has run away with her singing teacher. Who would have thought it? Miss Barucha's daughter-in-law had one more baby. Yes, their fourth. You'd think they'd know better than to keep trying for a boy. Last Tuesday was Bangla Band. Another labor strike. Everything closed down, not even the buses running. But you can't really blame them, can you? After all, factory workers have to eat too. Miss Basu's tenants, whom she'd been trying to evict forever, finally moved out. Good riddance. But you should see the state of the flat. At the very bottom, Miss Basu wrote, "Are you happy in America?" Miss Dutta knows that Miss Basu, who had been her closest friend since they both moved to Goshpara Lane as young brides, cannot be fobbed off with descriptions of Fisherman's Wharf and the Golden Gate Bridge, or even with anecdotes involving grandchildren. And so she has been putting off her reply, while in her heart family loyalty battles with insidious feelings of, but she turns from them quickly, and will not name them even to herself. Now Cigar is knocking on the children's doors. A curious custom this, children being allowed to close their doors against their parents. With relief, Miss Dutta gathers up her bathroom things. She has plenty of time. Their mother will have to rap again before Pradeep and Miralini open their doors and stumble out. Still, Miss Dutta is not one to waste the precious morning. She splashes cold water on her face and neck. She does not believe in pampering herself. Scrapes the night's gumminess from her tongue with her metal tongue cleaner. Brushes vigorously, though the minty toothpaste does not leave her mouth feeling as clean as the bittersweet neem stick she's been using all her life. She combs the knots out of her hair. Even at her age, it is thicker and silkier than her daughter-in-law's permed curls. Such vanity, she scolds, and you, a grandmother and a widow besides. Still, as she deftly fashions her hair into a neat coil, she remembers how her husband would always compare it to monsoon clouds. She hears a sudden commotion. "Pat! Minnie! What do you mean you still haven't washed up? I'm late to work every morning nowadays because of you kids." "But Mom, she's in there. She's been there forever," Miralini says. Pause, then, "So go to the downstairs bathroom." "But all our stuff is here," Pradeep says, and Miralini adds, "It's not fair. Why can't she go downstairs?" A longer pause. Miss Dutta hopes that Shyamoli will not be too harsh with the girl. But a child who refers to elders in that disrespectful way ought to be punished. How many times did she slap Cigar for something far less, though he was her only one, the jewel of her eye, come to her after she had been married for 7 years and everyone had given up hope? Whenever she lifted her hand to him, her heart was pierced through and through. Such is a mother's duty. But Shyamali only says, in a tired voice, "That's enough! Go put on your clothes! Hurry!" The grumbling recedes. Footsteps clatter down the stairs. Inside the bathroom, Miss Dutta bends over the sink, fists tight in the folds of her sari. Hard with the pounding in her head to think what she feels most. Anger at the children for their rudeness, or at Shyamali for letting them go unrebuked. Or is it shame she feels? But why? This burning, acid, and indigestible that coats her throat in molten metal. Part 3. It is 9 a.m. and the house, after the flurry of departures, a frantic, "I can't find my socks," and "Mom, he took my lunch money," and "I'll swear I'll leave you kids behind if you're not in the car in exactly 1 minute," has settled into its quiet daytime rhythms. Busy in the kitchen, Miss Dutta has recovered her spirits. Holding on to grudges is too exhausting, and besides, the kitchen, sunlight spilling across its countertops while the refrigerator hums reassuringly in the background, is her favorite place. Miss Dutta hums too, as she fries potatoes for aloo dum. Her voice is rusty and slightly off-key. In India, she would have never ventured to sing. But with everyone gone, the house is too quiet, and all that silence pressing down on her like the heel of a giant hand. And the TV voices, with their strange foreign accents, are no help at all. As the potatoes turn golden brown, she permits herself a moment of nostalgia for her Calcutta kitchen. The new gas stove she bought with birthday money, cigar scent, the scoured shiny brass pots stacked by the meat safe, the window with the lotus pattern grill through which she could look down on white uniformed children playing cricket after school, the mouth-watering smell of ginger and chili paste, ground fresh by Reba, the maid, and in the evening, strong black Assam tea brewing in the kettle while Miss Basu came to visit. In her mind, she writes to Miss Basu, "Oh, Roma, I miss it all so much. Sometimes I feel that someone has reached in and torn out a handful of my chest." But only fools indulge in nostalgia, so Miss Dutta shakes her head clear of images and straightens up the kitchen. She pours the half-drunk glasses of milk down the sink, though Shyamali has told her to save them in the refrigerator. But surely Shyamali, a girl from a good Hindu family, doesn't expect her to put contaminated jutha things with the rest of the food. She washes the breakfast dishes by hand instead of letting them wait inside the dishwasher till night, breeding germs. With practiced fingers, she throws an assortment of spices into the blender. Coriander, cumin, cloves, black pepper, a few red chilies for vigor. No stale bottled curry powder for her. At least the family's eating well since I arrived, she writes in her mind. Proper Indian food, puffed up chapatis, fish curry in mustard sauce, and real pulao with raisins and cashews and ghee. The way you taught me, Roma, instead of rice-a-roni. She would like to add, they love it, but in thinking of Shyamali, she hesitates. At first, Shyamali was happy enough to have someone to take over the cooking. It's wonderful to come home to a hot dinner, she'd say. Or, Mother, what crispy papads, and your fish curry is out of this world. But recently she has taken to picking out her food, and once or twice from the kitchen, Miss Dutta has caught wisps of words intensely whispered, cholesterol, all putting on weight, she's spoiling you. And though Shyamali says no when the children ask if they can have burritos from the freezer instead, Miss Dutta suspects that she would really like to say yes. The children. A heaviness pulls at Miss Dutta's entire body when she thinks of them. Like so much in this country, they've turned out to be, yes, she might as well admit it, a disappointment. For this she blames, in part, the Elan Mills portrait. Perhaps it was foolish of her to set so much store by a photograph, especially one taken years ago. But it was such a charming scene. Miralini in a ruffled white dress with her arm around her brother, Pradeep chubby and dimpled in a suit and bow tie, a glorious autumn forest blazing red and yellow behind them. Later, Miss Dutta was saddened to learn that the forest was merely a backdrop in a studio in California, where real trees did not turn such colors. The picture had arrived, silver framed and wrapped in a plastic sheet filled with bubbles, with a note from Shyamali explaining that it was a Mother's Day gift. A strange concept, a day set aside to honor mothers. Did the Shahibs not honor their mothers the rest of the year then? For a week, Miss Dutta could not decide where it should be hung. If she put it in the drawing room, visitors would be able to admire her grandchildren. But if she put it on the bedroom wall, she'd be able to see the photo last thing before she fell asleep. She finally opted for the bedroom, and later, when she was too ill with pneumonia to leave her bed for a month, she was glad of it. Miss Dutta was accustomed to living on her own. She had done it for 3 years after Sagar's father died, politely but stubbornly declining the offers of various relatives, well-meaning and otherwise, to come and stay with her. In this she surprised herself as well as others, who thought of her as a shy, sheltered woman, one who would surely fall apart without her husband to handle things for her. But she managed quite well. She missed Sagar's father, of course, especially in the evenings, when it had been his habit to read to her the most amusing parts of the newspaper while she rolled out chapatis. But once the grief receded, she found she enjoyed being mistress of her own life. As she confided to Miss Basu, she liked being able, for the first time ever, to lie in bed all evening and read a new novel of Shankar's straight through if she wanted, or send out for hot eggplant pakoras on a rainy day without feeling guilty that she wasn't serving up a balanced meal. When the pneumonia hit, everything changed. Miss Dutta had been ill before, but those illnesses had been different. Even in bed, she'd been at the center of the household, with Reba coming to find out what she what should be cooked. Cigar's father bringing her shirts with missing buttons, her mother-in-law, now old and tamed, complaining that the cook didn't brew her tea strong enough, and Cigar running and crying because he had a fight with a neighbor boy. But now she had no one to ask her, curiously, just how long do you plan to remain sick? No one waited in impatient exasperation for her to take on her duties again. No one's life was inconvenienced the least by her illness. Therefore, she had no reason to get well. When this thought occurred to Miss Dutta, she was frightened that her body grew numb. The walls of the room spun into darkness, and the bed on which she lay, a vast four-poster she had shared with Cigar's father since their wedding, rocked like a dinghy caught in a storm, and a great hollow roaring reverberated inside her head. For a moment, unable to move or see, she thought, "I'm dead." Then her vision, desperate and blurry, caught on the portrait. My grandchildren. With some difficulty, she focused on the bright, oblivious sheen of their faces. The eyes so like Cigar's that for a moment heart-sickness twisted inside her like a living thing. She drew a shudder of breath into her aching lungs, and the roaring seemed to recede. When the afternoon post brought another letter from Cigar, "Mother, you should really come and live with us. We worry about you all alone in India, especially when you're sick like this," she wrote back the same day, with fingers that shook a little. "You're right. My place is with you, my grandchildren." But now she is here on the other side of the world, she is wrenched with doubt. She knows the grandchildren love her. How can it be family otherwise? And she loves them. She reminds herself, even though they have put away somewhere in the back of a closet the vellum-bound Ramania for young readers that she carried all the way from India in her hand luggage. Even though their bodies twitch with impatience when she tries to tell them stories of her girlhood. Even though they offer the most transparent excuses when she asks them to sit with her while she chants the evening prayers. "They're flesh of my flesh, blood of my blood," she reminds herself. But sometimes when she listens from the other room to them speaking on the phone, their American voices rising in excitement as they discuss a glittering alien world of Power Rangers, Metallica, and Spirit Week at school, she can almost not believe what she hears.